Look.
You know what I mean?
Oh God, I just try to be prepared for this.
I have had a lot of weird clients.
I mean, I have a couple stories. I think I've told one story about like somebody on my floor at the shop.
I brought one up the last time I did an interview. That was probably the craziest one. And then these sons of bitches edited it in such a weird way. Real early on, I had this customer who was involved with the whole like Chelsea underground gay sex party thing, and you'd say, how, you'd come in for a tattoo. How was your weekend? Oh, it was great. I was chained up to this guy stealing all weekend, whatever. Bad people, horrible, horrible people.
I used to work in the Bronx, so it can be bad.
All of them has to be with, like intimate parts. And yes, I'm kind of like traumatized about that,
Or like half of my clients, I like tattoo them on their legs, you know who you are, and they always like don't come prepared. Yeah. And recently I've been just touching a bunch of so I asked for pic last time, now I'm touching them.
Anything like not tattoo related people send you?
No, that's what I'm wanting. I want some like weird pics or something just to like, I'm gonna like be like, I made it.
I mean, I had a chick who got a weed plant tattooed on her ass and she didn't smoke weed.
What?
Yeah, I think I have one of my Snapchat videos.
I had a tattoo, spider on somebody's ass.
Why is she shaking her ass?
Yo, it was random.
Why is she wearing that panty? Yo, she wants to you.
Not me.
Oh my God.
You know when you wear those thongs with the 3 lines? You're up to something.
I tattooed this one lady. She came into the shop and she wanted 2 W's on each butt cheek. And I was like, well, I mean, why do you want that? She's like, so when I open up my ass, it says, wow.
She wasn't really my client, but she got really, really, really drunk in the shop, and like she was just like sloppy everywhere. She dropped a Big Mac on the floor, on the tattoo shop floor, and like she scooped it back up and started eating it.
Hey,
and we were like, yo, it's time for this bitch to go. Like,
I had this like older lady, like we originally planned to do her back, right? And for some reason it didn't work out, right? So she decides that we're gonna tattoo her leg instead. And instead of like just like switching into shorts or anything because she wasn't prepared, she just like chilled in granny panties all day long. But not only like chilled in them, like she didn't take them off, so her pants remained at her ankles at all points of the day. It was quite uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable to see.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Or what about this one? This one, Beyonce for life. Beyonce on the feet, guy's foot.
what?
That's a man's foot?
Yeah,
Oh
not
my
a woman's
God.
foot, baby.
What? He got his nails.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's one lady that I remember specifically who will probably never watch this, so I feel like it's okay. She wanted the underside of her foot tattooed, and I was like, that's fine. She was like 50, and I was like, that's very bold of you, I respect it. But when she took off her sock, I think it was like the first time she'd taken off her sock in months, because so much foot just came off with it. It was horrible. It was horrible, and I just kept wiping it, and just more skin and more skin. It just wouldn't stop, and I eventually got to a part of her skin that I thought was tattooable, but I don't think I even really penetrated the skin. I think it was just all dead.
All right, so when my dad was around, we had this guy pull up on a bicycle. The bicycle is just hanging off with bags of stuff. And the guy comes in and he just stinks to high heaven, and nobody wants to deal with this guy. Finally, for one reason or the other, my dad agrees to tattoo this guy. He takes him to his booth all the way in the back of the shop. We have to open the door in the front because it stunk so bad. Tattoos the guy. At the end of the whole thing, Dad gives him a price, which was a little higher than he normally would have charged. And the guy reaches into his shoe and pulls out a wad of hundreds like that, and just starts ripping money off and handing it to him.
I mean, I like a good client who has a good story, you know? Like they're weird in some way, like maybe a serial killer or something, and I like to pick their brains.
I had one guy who asked me to do a Leatherface portrait on him, and during like the stenciling process, he calls me over. He's like, "Psst, you know, hey, come here," and I'm like, you know, I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he's like, you know why I want this portrait? I'm like, well, I mean, you probably like the movies, right? He's like, no, because I am Leatherface. And he starts cranking up this fake chainsaw, starts knocking everything over the shop, and he just ran out the door, just making the sounds, vroom, 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 just ran down the street, you know?
There's one other person that I had to stop tattooing because I think he was gonna kill me. After coming in a couple times, he brought me a home-cooked eggplant parm. And I was like, thank you so much. And then as soon as he left, I threw it away. And the next time he came in, he was like, did you enjoy that eggplant parm? And I lied. And I was like, yeah, it was delicious. And then he was like, oh good, I was worried that you'd think I poisoned it. And I was like, well, I did. And that's a very suspicious thing for you to say if you didn't poison the eggplant parm.
Have you tattooed any serial killers?
I believe one, possibly two, yeah. He gave me a little crystal skull as a tip, and he called it Imbrajnia. And he said it was manufactured by the government. He was crazy too, I remember that. But this is why I remember him. You know, he gave me this skull and he said it's called Imbrajnia, and the government manufactured it, and there's 16 of them in the world, and anyone who has one goes completely insane. And that was the story. So I took it, I went insane, and then I met this other guy who was insane, like 5 years later, and he asked me about the Imbrajnia, and there's no way they know each other. So he says the same story to me. And I'm like, I couldn't remember the guy's name, the original serial killer guy, you know? But it was like, I swear they knew each other, but there's no way they could, you know? Maybe they were cellmates or something. I don't know, but they were both convinced I was nuts from an Imbrajnian skull.
You know, a lot of like the sex sound clients, that's always an interesting time.
I had a client who could not stop laughing.
Wait,
don't
Bradley.
know. Yeah.
Tell the one that happened here with the moaning and the noises.
Oh, that happens sometimes.
And at first I was like, are you okay? Are you crying? She was like on her stomach, so I couldn't really tell. She was like, no, I'm so sorry. I am really ticklish. And I was like, I've never heard of this before.
You know, there's a lot of people here tattooing a sensitive area in a non-private room. Some groaning and moaning might happen, similar to birth.
How long was the tattoo?
A couple hours. Yeah, it took a little bit longer because she was cracking up the whole time.
It's been a while because I've had a good clientele, and I'm in the consult. I can kind of pick who's crazy and who's not, and who to, you know, share my time with. But I want to say the last crazy person that I had, and she wasn't even that crazy, honestly. She was just kind of a mess. She had an inability to cope. She was like super 1%er, sweet. But when we would start to tattoo her, what I didn't realize was that she was just eating Xanax and tequila, like each time she was going to the bathroom. So she would be like this sweet, cute-faced, like down to do anything, like on the subject, and then she would come back and be like, what did you do? This isn't what I wanted. I kind of didn't know what was happening, and then her mom came to pick her up, and I'm like, what the is this situation? But the mom brought her more booze. The last session, she only sat for maybe about an hour and a half before she totally went wild, and she couldn't walk, so I got her a cab. I called her hotel. I made sure that she got there, and her mom was paying for the tattoo. So a couple hours later, her mom calls, and she's like, you took my kid's money. She paid a day rate. Like, you only tattooed her for an hour. And for some reason, we knew this was gonna happen, so we made her pay by check, and we sent her a photo of the check where it was only 1 hour. She pocketed the rest of her mom's money.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay, but I mean, that's the worst of it. Like, I haven't had something crazy in like 15 years. No, that's why I haven't been tattooing that long. But.
Wait till this evening, Jess.
Right? Oh.
It's fun.
I forgot that you asked for I was like sitting here and I'm like, oh no.
I know.
And it made the cut?
Oh, it made the cut, of course.
My mom loved it. She thought it was so funny. I didn't look at a single one though.
I didn't either.
I've never got
People
a dick
would,
pic
like-
before.
Yeah.
And that I'd have now, but I didn't look at them. I saw that blurry thing and I was like, no,
Like,
no.
next.
I actually don't want to see a dick.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Deleted them all. They could have not even been.
Could have been anything.
I know.
You could have missed out on some really cool